Hey everyone, this is James coming back with part 2 on the video I had about the shoes. On my channel you can see part 1. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but I'm at university right now and I have a pretty busy schedule, so that's why I'm just not getting to it. So this was our problem, right? We had a price of the boot, right? Price of the shoe that was $40, okay? And for every $20 increase, we had 100 less people buy the product, okay? The problem was really just asking us, what is the maximum revenue for the shoe, right? Specifically, what price would give us the max revenue, how many people would buy at that price, and really what would our max revenue be, right? So what this problem is going to do is it's going to give you a parabola, okay? And in this case, if you're thinking about quadratics, right, this is specifically intercept form right here, okay? If you had standard form, it'd be something like that, just like as a very simple explanation of it, right? Standard form, and then you have intercept form, and you also have vertex form. You should definitely, like, if you're in school right now, you should definitely, like, go over each form of a quadratic equation. Go over each form of a quadratic equation and really drill down how to convert between each form and what the pros and cons are of expressing a quadratic equation in each form, right? So really, in looking at this, if you have solved or, simplified intercept form, right, in this way, looking at this, you would just clearly see, hey, that's reminds me of an intercept form. Let me go ahead and, find the intercepts, right, the X-Intercepts, by setting each one of these to 0, right, each one of these expressions to 0, and then from there we can plug the result of the axis of symmetry, which is the midpoint between the X-Intercepts. We can plug the axis of symmetry into this intercept form, and that will give us our vertex, right? And guys, like, if you're in school right now, this is an 11th grade problem. Algebra 2, it's something that, I would say specifically if you're someone who's going into any sort of business, right? And even if you're not going to business, just, it's a very, this kind of stuff should be done in your sleep, honestly, especially if you're a business major of any kind. I'm not necessarily going to get into my background now, but, like, when I was 19 years old, I took a Sylvan assessment and came out at a 3rd grade level, right? So at 19 years old, I had a 3rd grade math education, and specifically it was primarily just math, because I had stopped math growing up as a homeschooler. I had done everything else, stopped math, and really at 27 years old, after I got married, I went to university, and from that, as an accounting student, I've really made a point to know as much math as I can, and to not just know, but to really understand it. So there's really no point in me forgetting any of this kind of stuff. And that's the reason for these videos as well. Like, the reason I'm making these videos is not only for my own reference, right, to have them forever for me to come back to. Say I was 7 years old and I started to forget some of this stuff. Well, I could go back to my videos specifically made in my way of thought, right, my train of thought, rewatch them, and know exactly what I'm doing forever, right? So there is no way I'm going to forget any of this kind of stuff. People say, hey, you learn stuff in college, you're going to forget it, 5 years, 10 years down the road. It's not going to happen with me, right? Because I make these videos and they'll be up here forever, right? Unless YouTube bans my channel, okay? So that's part of the reason I'm making these videos, is to have them forever, right? And not even when I get into my career, but just when I get older, into my old age, right? To always have this knowledge, and knowledge that, one day, if my kid is struggling with something in high school, I don't even have kids yet, but I'll be able to, refer him to these videos, or, teach him, etc. And, if you're someone watching this right now, you may be like, hey, math is hard for me or whatever. Dude, like, I had a 3rd grade education at 19 years old. I'm 29 now. I started college at 27, okay, for accounting. And, I just really want to say, like, if you're struggling with math, the best thing you can do is have a tutor and not be afraid to look stupid, and just let them know up front, and tell them, hey, I'm not understanding this stuff. Like, you have to have communication, like, when you're talking to a tutor. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And I feel like a lot of times people get into a tutoring session and they're too embarrassed to tell the tutor, hey, I'm not getting this for the 3rd straight time, for the 4th straight time. That's really all I want to say about that. It's just, math is something that, like, if you're in a tutoring environment, just be honest and try to, like, tell them what you don't know. And if you're questioning something, go through the problem again and speak out loud what you're thinking. Have them listen to you. And if you run into any problem or any step that is wrong, they can point that out to you. That's what I did a lot when I was being tutored. I would speak through the problem as they were listening to me, just to make sure I had it down correctly. And if there was anything off in my logic or my way of thinking, they would point that out, I would correct it, and move on from there, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go through how to find this out, okay? And you should have practiced in school, and if you haven't, ask your teacher or tutor to give you practice. CUDA software has a lot of great practice on this kind of stuff. I'm just going to draw a coordinate plane, okay? And let's go ahead and set these to 0, okay? So I want to have, each one of these, I'm going to have 40 plus 20x equals 0, right? And on the other half, I'm going to have 1,200 minus 100x equals 0, okay? And you just have to know, like, for a problem like this, just know that for a maximum revenue problem, you're going to have to find the vertex of a parabola, right? You're seeing something that starts like this. You're gonna find the X-intercepts by setting each one of these to 0. And when you're setting this to 0, specifically what you're doing is you're setting the y-axis to 0, essentially, okay? And you're finding where x is on this x line, right? So if this equals 0, we're going to solve for the x, right? So if y equals 0, right? So if y is right here, right? This is y, this is x. When we solve for x, it's going to give us where that x is on the x line right here, okay? So that's going to give us 2 points, 1 point here, 1 point there, and we're just going to plot the parabola, okay? So, this is just basic solving, so I'm going to solve each one of these, and this is something that, again, everyone should know how to do, okay? Okay, so x equals -2, okay? So, one of these x's, okay, is equal to, let's set some lines up here, okay, so -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and we're going to go the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? So we're just going to add more on the right side than the left side. You'll see why I did that in a second here, but that's just because I don't want to write more out. I would write 12 out here as well. I just wrote 12 down there because for the specific problem, I'm going to do that, but normally I would have indeed extended this and wrote 12 on that side as well, okay? But I'm not going to do that because I need room to solve this problem in this space, okay? All right. So I'm going to simplify this one as well. Okay. All right, so x equals 12 on the second one, okay? So you have x equals 2, x equals 12. We're going to come to our graph. We're going to plot -2. Okay, and then 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we have 12 all the way over here. Okay, -2 and 12. All right, we're going to take both of these values, right, which is -2 and 12. And what we want to know is we want to find the exact middle of this, okay? We want to know what the middle is because with a parabola, guys, if you know the middle, right, and then you just find the y value for that middle, you're going to know the vertex of that parabola, right? So if you know the middle, anywhere right here between these 2 points, right, if you can get the middle, you can just plug in the y, you can plug that middle into an expression like this and find this value, which is going to be it's going to be the max or the min. Okay, so in school, like when they're telling you, hey, you need to find the max or the min of this parabola, you're saying, why am I doing that? Like, why on earth am I doing that? Well, specifically, one reason could be, something like this right here, where you find the maximum revenue, right? The maximum price point. Right now, we're selling our boots for $40. We want to find the maximum point, right? The maximum revenue that we can get, and really what price point that's going to be for that kind of shoe. All right, for this shoe specifically. So, in finding the vertex, okay, what we first want to do is find the middle point between -2 and 12. And you can just do that in your head by finding somewhere along this line that has an equal distance to -2 and 12, right? And specifically, I'm going to tell you right now that that's +5 before even working this out. And just logically, if you're looking at this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be equally 7 points or segments away from -2 and 12. And you can count that. Okay, so we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 points away from 5 and -2. And then from 5 to 12, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 7 points away. All right? And how you would write that out as an expression, it's going to be this value plus this value divided by 2, okay? So we have this value plus that value divided by 2, and that's going to give us 5, okay? So we put in our -2 here, we'll put in our 12 here, divided by 2, 5, which is obviously, right, right here, right? So you would take -2 plus 12 divided by 2, it's going to be equal to 5, okay? Right, now once you have 5, this is your golden ticket. Essentially, you know, this is what you need to find the vertex of the parabola, okay? So we're going to take this 5, and we're going to plug it into the x values of our original equation, okay? So again, what did we do? We had the original equation, we set each of these equal to 0, solved the normal way. We came out with -2 and -12. We took those values and went through this hoopla, okay, to find the center point between those 2 points, right? So this was each one of these equal to, setting each one of these equal to 0 was giving us 2 points on the graph. This hoopla gave us the middle point between those 2 points, and then once you have that middle point, all right, you're home free. You are, you know, it's your golden ticket home, okay? So we're gonna plug the golden ticket home, right? 40 plus 20 times 5 times 1,200 minus 100 times 5. Now, what you can do is literally just plug that in your calculator, right? The whole thing in your calculator. If you didn't want to do that, you could, you know, solve either side as far as, you know, multiplying them. You're going to get some value down here. You're going to get some value down here, because obviously this right here, these 2 parentheses, means that you're multiplying whatever's in here times this, so we still have 2 values in here that we're going to multiply. And when you do that, it's going to give you your actual answer as far as where the vertex is of this parabola, okay? So let's just go ahead and work it out without putting it in the calculator, and then we'll go ahead and put the whole thing in the calculator after this, okay? So specifically, 40 plus 20 times 5, okay? 40 plus 20 times 5 is 140, okay? And then what we have is 1,200 minus 100 times 5 is 700, okay? Specifically, what we're looking at here, all right, this is giving us the price point where maximum revenue is going to be reached for the shoe. And this right here is giving us the demand of how many people we can expect to buy that shoe at this price point, which would give us our maximum revenue, okay? So even though we have less people buying, in this case we had 1,200 people buying, now we only have 700. We have less people buying, right? But we have a higher price point for the shoe, right? So that the price point for the shoe is higher. This is supposed to be a dollar sign. The price point for the shoe is higher. The demand is less, but overall, it's going to give us more revenue, okay? So down here, obviously this is a multiplication, 2 parentheses. We're going to have 140 times 700, right? It's $98,000, okay? So $98,000, which really was the exact same price I showed you when I made that part 1. Right, so we have the 98,000 right here, right? And this 98,000, guys, is actually the vertex, right? So really what you have here, right, is you have 2 values that when combined together is going to give you the y value on the graph, which is 98,000, right? So right here, I mean, it's going to be way, way, way high up, 98,000, you know, shooting up to the sky. That's what the y is equaling there. And the 2 values that get you there is going to be our price and our demand, okay? And, you know, we can specifically say that this point on the parabola right here is going to be at 5 and 98,000. Okay, so really, if you were marking this point, the vertex is 598k. 98k specifically being 98,000. All right, it's presented or drawn in a complicated fashion. If you go back to video 1, I really explained the basic logic behind this in a non-mathematical way, right? So you can see, you know, the demand, right, and the price. The demand is going down as the price of the shoe goes up, and then the demand goes down, okay? So with that said, let me go back to here. Okay, initially, when we had a price point of $40, which is where we started out this entire problem, okay, is a price point of our shoe being at $40. We figured out that the max revenue, right, is going to be a price point of $140 for our shoe. It's going to give us $98,000, right, of revenue, right, and we're only going to have 700 people buying the shoe at that time, okay? So this is our price point of our max revenue. This is the demand we're going to have at that price point for max revenue, and this specifically right here is our max revenue, okay? So, you know, if you were a business, okay, and you just pulled out, say, $40 out of thin air, right, and say it cost you, you know, $20 to make the shoe, and you were saying, hey, you know, I'm making 100% profit, you know, this is great, this is awesome, I'm all in, $20 to make the shoe, I'm selling it on the market for $40. Well, you literally just, essentially by doing something like this, which is just math, have pulled out $50,000 out of thin air, right? Because you were making $48,000, right? $48,000 at that price point, and you figured out at this price point, $140 per shoe, you can make $50,000 extra, right? $50,000 more dollars. Now you're gonna have less people buying. Obviously, when something's higher, less people want it because not everyone is a millionaire, right? Not everyone can afford that. But you as a business are going to be in a better position. You're going to be better off because, you know, it helps you. And this is what knowledge can do. This is what math can do. And this is why you're learning this kind of stuff in school. This is, you know, it's why you're going through this. And there's another way to sort of look at this, right? Because you can take this right here and solve it by completing the square. And it's going to give you this value down here, okay? And from that, you can, you know, again, easily find every other value in this by solving this. And, you know, I could go through that in this video, and I've seen other people in other YouTube videos talk about that. But specifically, why I will not go into that is because I don't want to get into something or show multiple ways that is really, you know, aside from the point, right? And you know, earlier in this video, when I was showing you the intercept form and vertex form of a quadratic equation, you know, I really just brought that up to allow you to understand what the, you know, intercept form is, what the standard form is, what the vertex form is. Really, it's all the same thing, written differently, and they have pros and cons of each, right? Each one has their strength and their weakness, and you should be well-versed in all of these quadratic forms and how to convert them between one form to the other. And if you want to know how to get there, work with a tutor and do hundreds of problems, and it's going to eventually get to like you're doing something in your sleep, right? If any of you guys are athletes, if any of you guys, you know, are on the football team or on a tennis team, you have to get out there in order to hit a good serve, in order to throw a good spiral, and to, you know, hit your target every time. You're going to have to do hours upon hours and hours and hours and hours of work, guys. And, you know, and athletes know this. This is the problem. Like, athletes actually know this. And it's no different with mental, you know, in a sense, you can call this a mental sport, right? Mental athletics. It's kind of what it is, honestly. Like, if you can do something so many times that you have a great forehand, great serve, great backhand, it's the same thing with any other skill. It's the same thing with math. You know, you can sit here and, you know, go through hundreds and hundreds of problems, you know, so that whenever you see it ever again, you're right on that. You have that knowledge down. You can recognize it in an instant. Any problem that's even similar to this, and, you know, you'll be set. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to show you this and not show you any other forms of solving this, because I just want this to be, I want it to speak for itself. You know, just this one way, and you can learn other ways. There's many ways to do something in math. I'm not going to deny that. There's many different ways. But right now, we just want to know how to freaking solve it. And, you know, that's what this is for. That's why I wrote this. That's why I'm showing this to you. Again, guys, this is part 2. And part 3, maybe I'll go over some of the pros and cons and ways to solve things like this. You know, solving by completing the square, right? Or solving with a using the quadratic formula, which is really completing the square is really using the quadratic formula. But again, guys, just, you know, you can go over this video again if you want to, but really, you know, this is why you're learning this kind of stuff. This is what it can do, and, pulling $50,000, out of thin air is, this again is monthly sales, right? So we were making a monthly revenue of $48,000, and now we have a monthly revenue of $98,000, just because we worked out this quadratic problem, right? And it's really, really, really powerful stuff. I mean, $50,000 out of thin air, and from the research the management did, guys, and finding out for every $20 shoe increase, we had 100 less sales during that month, and knowing that we could come in here and work out the maximum revenue. It's a powerful, powerful thing in this scenario, and I really do hope that, if any of you guys are out there wanting to start a business or wanting to have a successful career, be an asset to society, and just help companies make money, help them grow, and it's not just for you and for the company, it's really for the betterment of the human race, to get out there and really be an asset to society, and to not only help yourself, but help the company, which in turn will help the employees, many other people that work for the company, and society in general, the people that you're buying products from, etc. It's a powerful, powerful thing that has social implications, and not just implications for your own ability to create wealth, right? It's very, very profound, powerful stuff, and this is why, at 27, when COVID hit, I was put on furlough for a few months and just realized this is what I'm going to do, right? This is, I need to do something more, right? And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm making these videos, guys. There's going to be a lot more videos to come, really, right? Everything that I've learned in math is going to be up on this channel, right? And it's going to be here forever, so, stick around. There's going to be a lot more stuff, and have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.